So the most exciting thing in my life happened last week, Chris.
Yeah?
Ashley Williams, I'm the Smash on Twitter, actually tweeted me back after she listened to our podcast.
So we wanted to just take this opportunity to say, Ashley, thank you for listening. Thank you for tweeting it. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much. She's like a legit famous person.
Yes, like a legit famous person that listened to our podcast. I think that's the dream.
That's the dream.
That's the dream.
That's the dream.
Yep, so if you haven't already, go to her page and follow her.
Yeah, she's I'm the Smash on Twitter. So we're on episode 14 of 22, Chris. You know what that means.
What does that mean?
It means we're going to beg people to join our Facebook group again.
Yes, we're going to shamelessly beg people to join our Facebook group, share the podcast, subscribe in iTunes, review us highly, Reddit, what the hell's going on?
Send us pennies. Just anything. Please. I mean, we're not actually begging for money. We're just begging for you to just like the podcast on the Facebook and the Reddit, the iTunes. Please. No.
This is Him Yim Superfans. Hello, James Hamilton.
Hello there, Chris Venezia.
And hello, Mother Fans. This is the show where we talk about the CBS comedy How I Met Your Mother.
We are going to ruin this show for you.
So this week, in some sort of southern accent, you want to ruin the show by spoiling plot points for the entire series?
You betcha. Even though we're only doing the first season, we will have spoilers for the rest of the show. So if you don't want to know that there's a deleted season 9 episode where Barney becomes the laser tag champion of the world, maybe come back to this podcast after you watch the whole series.
That was a good one. Yeah. I think he'd worked really hard.
Yeah.
Finally gets his accolades.
It was touch and go there when he blows out his kneecap, but...
So, this episode is Zip, 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 a.k.a. We Still Got the Deuce.
Yeah.
It's Season 1, Episode 14, if you want to watch it after this. It aired February 6th of 2006. Written by Brenda Sue and directed by Pam. I don't have a nickname Fryman because it turns out you don't fry soft pretzels.
Who knew?
Which is the only thing I could come up with in this episode is a soft pretzel.
Yeah. So we're into the lore of the series by this point. It's nearly a month into Ted and Victoria's relationship, and they haven't done it yet. Ted's starting to get anxious. Lily and Marshall are spending their 9th anniversary weekend in the bathroom, and Barney and Robin are hanging out.
Yeah. I don't think I made a note of it later, but like 9 years without getting married is a long time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, they're still pretty young, and I get that they started dating when they were 18.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, that's still 9 years. I think they do say in this episode, like, we sound like an old married couple, and we're not even married yet.
Yeah. Ted has been with Victoria for a month at this point. Robin has been living with her secret that she likes Ted, and only Lily knows. Barney only finds out at the end of this episode, and this is almost a date for Barney and Robin.
Yeah, we've mentioned before how they do sometimes spend time together. They're like the odd men out in the group. They're the non-Wesleyans.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it's a Barney and Robin episode, and we'll definitely touch on that quite a bit later. So, James, what was your most memorable moment?
Well, if you had asked me before I reviewed the show, it would have been that this is the one where Ted and Victoria finally do it, but they're barely in this episode. It's not a Ted or Victoria episode, really.
No.
You have these sort of glimpses into their relationship, and it's just all lead up.
Yeah. I thought it was really funny when Ted walked to the bathroom in his robe, and he tells Lily and Marshall to get a room.
Yeah.
And he had not been in his room very long. I'm going to throw that out, and we'll get back to that later. But I don't know if it's the most memorable thing from the episode, because a lot of stuff happened, and a lot of it was pretty memorable. But I always thought that was really funny.
Yeah, it was like, come on, Ted, you spent all night not in your room, you jerk.
Yep, and we'll get to my crazy theory on that later.
The episode begins with a recap of the last episode, where Ted and Victoria find each other, finally. But this time, it's Monday. The last episode was on a Sunday, and they spent the night together but it was Victoria's idea not to have sex.
Right. Lily and Marshall make a big deal about how long they were in there, but it was one night.
Yeah.
Like, the writing's a little off on this, because they talk about how it's like 48 hours, and they're in there for 2 days. Like, that's not what happened. They're in there Sunday night, and it was pretty late when they would have gotten back to his room anyway.
Yeah.
So they were maybe in there like 6, 7, 8 hours. It wasn't like as big of a deal as they're all making it out to be.
Yeah. So Lily and Marshall were expecting them to be going at it like monkeys, but Ted decided that he's really into this girl, so he's going to do what it takes to take it slow.
It's her idea?
Totally her idea.
So 3 weeks later, because we just cut ahead,
Yeah.
and
one of those comedy smash cuts.
Right. So Ted has some pretty serious blue balls.
Yeah.
Marshall says he'd never put up with that.
Yeah.
And the whole gang, including his fiancée Lily, mocks him for only having sex with one woman his entire life.
Yeah, I love this moment because Lily says, "Burn!" Like, there's so much. I don't remember Burn being part of this show, but it was definitely part of that 70s show. And coincidentally, Allison Hannigan had a 2-episode guest spot on that 70s show in the 6th season as a romantic interest for the Kusher?
Yeah, Michael Kelso.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe that's where she picked up Burn from. I don't know what the timing is on that. But Robin shows up and says she doesn't have to cover the cat show.
Yeah.
And I want to know, what cat show?
Yeah, they totally glossed over that. Like, it makes sense because she's, early in her career, she's covering the lousy beats, but
the fluff pieces. Yeah.
So I'm like you. I'm sorry we missed that, but the rest of the gang is busy. Ted's going on a date. Lily and Marshall say they're going out of town, even though we find out later they're not. So it's just Robin and Barney, or Robin and her martini.
Yeah, and I like the look on Neil's face here. When Robin says that she was planning on hanging out with the martini instead of Barney, he seems nonplussed by the comment. He's got this grin on his face, like, that was a good one. Yeah, you got me.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, in contrast to the pilot when she burned him, and he was like, "No, you don't get to do that."
Yeah, no.
They bonded. They can give each other shit.
Yep, since the pilot.
So up in the apartment, Lily and Marshall seem excited for their getaway, but they bail on it at the last minute. They're listing off all the things that make it sound lame. A few years later, after they're married, they interrupt the Gonzales road trip to stay at a B&B that seems to offer a lot of the same things that they're now bailing on because it seems lame.
Yeah, I mean, that's a few years down the road, so those things don't sound quite as lame to them at that point. I mean, at this point in this series, they've been together 9 years. At that point, it's even longer.
Yeah.
So, they're one of the couples that they're talking about in that Gonzales trip episode. Dual citizenship.
Yeah. 505.
So Marshall didn't even pack for the trip.
Yeah.
if Lily had wanted to go, he would have had to been like, all right, I'm going to go need 5 minutes. I forgot some stuff.
All my clothes.
Yeah, like all the things that I was going to pack.
So on Ted and Victoria's date, they're having this conversation in the cab. I'm guessing it's like after dinner, and they're on probably back to Victoria's house to have a nice kiss goodnight, and then Ted goes home and plays the drum solo.
Yep.
But Victoria says, 1 more week and it'll be a month. And Ted tries to play it off like he's not counting the days, the hours, the minutes. But if you look at Victoria's eyes, you could they slant immediately. Like, she immediately knows he's bullshitting. Yeah. And I love that. It made me think, though, what if Victoria had figured out before this cab ride that she was going to be out of town on the magic date, and this was sort of her way of sort of testing the waters to see if, she could convince Ted to make it his idea that they do it early?
Okay, yeah, that could be. At any rate, when she agrees to it, Ted has the cab driver turn it around so they can head back to the apartment. And this is when we find out that the apartment is at the corner of 75th and Amsterdam. Yeah,
the data point we will refer to many times.
That's right.
But just before we go, I sent you a little screen grab of this scene, because if you look at Ashley Williams' face here, she just plays it like she's so excited. It's like, yay, yay! It's like a kid about to get ice cream, except she's about to get dick. I'm so excited. I'm going to get laid tonight. Yeah.
She does. She looks very excited for whatever is about to happen
Yeah.
next. Well, I mean, it's been a month or 3 weeks at that point. So, Marshall and Lily are celebrating their anniversary by brushing their teeth. When Ted and Victoria show up, they come in the door making out, but like things cool down really quickly.
Yeah.
We don't get to see what happened, but the pace definitely slows down.
Yeah. They bust through the door, practically taking each other's clothes off. Then something happens. I guess Ted stopped making out with Victoria to put her on the couch, go light some candles. I had to go find the lighter, find the candles, open a bottle of wine, get the couple of wine glasses, but eventually he sets a nice romantic mood, but then he starts with the really douchey kind of lines here. Like, I want to know your soul. Actually, that was Ashley Williams' line, but they both exchange these really sappy things, and on first viewing, it seems like really bad and campy and just sickening, like Lily and Marshall feel. But when I saw it this time, I was just thinking, this is kind of relatable. This is early in the relationship, and they need to have a talk like this to just share with each other their vulnerabilities. And I agree, it definitely looks sappy from the outside, but I would imagine from the inside, if you were one of those two people on the couch, it's 100% genuine.
I agree, and I do think that it definitely shows how vulnerable they're willing to be to say that kind of stuff, because I think that it would be one thing to want to know someone's soul, and then I think it'd be a totally different thing to say that out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would make you so vulnerable to even say something like that. So it would come off feeling ridiculous, and I think a lot of people wouldn't say it at all. But they seem like they're both the romantics, like we talked about in the last episode. Like, they're both the romantics. So this is actually, they're gonna feed off of each other.
Yeah.
Like one's going to like open up, and the other one's like, oh, this is a safe place where I can open up and be romantic, and then they will.
It's almost like you can see the dopamine coming to their brain, just like about to squirt out their eyes. It's so much like, yes, this is working. This is good.
So in sharp contrast to the new relationship developing in the living room, Lily and Marshall are mocking Ted and Victoria's conversation, and they brag to each other about how they could have had sex 5 times in the 45 minutes that Ted and Victoria have spent out on the couch. And they do brag throughout the series that it doesn't take them very long to finish.
Yeah, and I know, they even have one of their famous no-look high fives.
Right, but they, in this high five, I would think that Ted and Victoria would have heard that.
Yeah, I think Ted would have heard that, and if not, he definitely would have seen Marshall's illuminated face in the bathroom that's all lit up from the living room that's all dark.
Yeah, and Marshall's expression.
Yeah,
it's like a doofus.
Yes, it's like he opens the door so they can overhear them better. So they decide Ted and Victoria's sappy conversation is going to be our entertainment tonight. So he opens the door and he sticks his head out, and you can see his face just sort of floating there.
Yeah, and Ted should be able to see them. I mean, this is where I have a crazy fan theory, which it sounds like you... Well, I haven't run this by you yet, but it sounds like you may just very well agree with me on this one. I think, crazy fan theory, Ted totally did hear the high five and sees Marshall from the doorway. And Ted tells Victoria that Marshall and Lily didn't go out of town and that they're in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then Ted and Victoria put on the brakes on getting out of the living room to torture Marshall and Lily for spying on them 3 weeks earlier at the door. And it also makes answering the phone shortly, we'll get to it, when Ted answers the phone, it also makes that make more sense. That she's like, oh yeah, well, I mean, if we're putting the brakes on this thing to torture your friends, go ahead, answer the phone.
Yeah, just do whatever you want. You got some taxes?
Right, we're going to get to it.
Yeah.
But that's my crazy fan theory.
I like that. It makes sense because Ted had to have seen him. And even if Ted had broken eye contact with Victoria to just sort of give Marshall the eyes, yeah, I know you're there, just stifle it.
Right.
But, Victoria would have noticed that, so that, the conversation would have started, and they're clearly open to being vulnerable with each other and playful.
Yeah.
So this is just it's just another step.
Right. Stay adventurous. Let's
Yeah.
torture your friends. And yeah, I mean, like, she's been around for 3 weeks at this point, so like she would probably feel comfortable enough with Marshall and Lily to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
probably been at the bar many nights by now.
right. We just haven't gotten to see it yet because we skipped over that in 1 second.
Yeah. So Lily and Marshall's conversation in the bathroom starts to become a little more introspective and less about mocking them. Lily says they're out of firsts. Marshall says, it's just the circle of life. When you've been together this long, these things just sort of happen this way. It's not fair to compare our relationship to Ted and Victoria's.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. Just as Ted suggests moving things to the bedroom, Barney calls. We'll figure out from where in a little bit down the road. But Barney calls Ted and asks for the green light on Robin. We're not going to worry about that so much right now. But so Barney calls him and he answers. It sort of kills the mood for another 10, 15 minutes for him.
Yeah. He was about to move it to the bedroom, gets the phone call. The phone call derails everything. Ashley's back to, how about a little more wine?
Yep. Yeah, she needs to get back into the moment, and some more wine will do it. Had they polished off a whole bottle at this point, and they're going for a second one?
Well, yeah, either they polished off 2 bottles of wine, or Ted is being a little economical and started with a already open bottle.
That's possible. Okay, all right,
So,
that could be. I mean, I'd be drunk at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know that there would be fun time in the bedroom. There might just be some sleepy time.
Yeah. I loved Ashley's acting again in this scene because, again, she's all smiles. She's very playful, a little coy. She's even biting her lower lip, and her eyes just say, "Do me now." I enjoy just looking at her.
That's funny that you mentioned that because Lily says that, do her now, don't answer the phone.
Yeah.
So Marshall and Lily try to get back what they lost by staring into each other's eyes.
Yeah.
And Jason's neck and face looks especially freckled in this scene. Hadn't always noticed it before. What is up with that?
Yeah, that stood out to me. He does look more freckly in some other episodes. It's funny to sort of watch Jason Segel's face transform a little bit throughout the series as he puts on or takes off weights for other roles.
Yeah.
So this is just one time that it seemed especially glaring because of the position of their faces where they're turned away from the camera.
Right. Yeah, towards each other.
Yeah. This is also where we learn the classic Marshall is what Marshall calls the good old-fashioned over-the-shoulder boob grab.
Yep, that's the classic Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that sounds right. I mean, I don't know. That's another thing that almost seems like after 9 years, it's like, you have to try very hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the classic Marshall. So
tried the classic Marshall many times.
So Lily says that she's got to get out of there. She is going to have to pee soon. And there's some horror movie music that plays.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 as she announces that she has to pee. In dual citizenship, which we've talked about earlier, she has to pee like every 5 minutes. So we know at this, she's been holding it for a while.
Yeah. I gotta say, I didn't really get this whole we can't pee in front of each other thing. It doesn't seem like it should be such a big deal for 2 grown-ass adults who've been having sex with each other for 9 years to just pee in front of each other. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but it is for them. Marshall reminds her that lots of couples have peed in front of each other, but Lily's argument for it is that she wants to keep some of the mystery alive.
Yeah.
But I don't get it, you don't get it, but for them, that's something that was important to them for the first 9 years of their relationship.
Yeah. So Ted and Victoria are back to full-blown making out, but they still haven't moved off the fucking couch. And Lily's still holding it. Meanwhile, Ted and Victoria start doing it pretty much on the couch, and Lily says she can't hold it any longer, and she does this really uncomfortable untying of her BJs.
Yeah. I actually didn't get the impression that there was as much happening on the couch as you did. but I did get the impression that they were still taking too long. Like,
Yeah.
maybe they were, maybe they weren't, but they still weren't getting to the bedroom. So, yeah, Lily was going to pee her pants
Yeah.
if she didn't go right then.
Yeah, we'll see later that there aren't articles of clothing strewn about the living room, so maybe they didn't really do it on the couch. It doesn't seem like a Ted thing to do.
Well, especially not if he knows that Marshall's there, like, and that could walk out. You know, I mean, it just doesn't seem like
unless he's trying to get revenge for the college thing or the top bunk.
Oh yeah, one bunk moves, the other bunk moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lily finishes her pee while I guess she made Marshall get into the bathtub and close the curtain.
Don't say.
No.
But yeah, it's funny because you're like, where's Marshall? And, he's behind the curtain.
It's a funny reveal.
They're also sitting on the edge of that bathtub, and it does not look like that's very comfortable.
No.
It's like very narrow.
Yeah.
Like not a good surface for sitting on.
It looks like it'd be cold.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lily finishes her pee and instinctively flushes the toilet, just ruining their whole "let's be quiet all night" thing.
Right.
So they just come out the living room and they find it empty, and even the lights are turned on, and I guess the candles were blown out. So Marshall's like, "Oh, well, they're not here. You stay here. I gotta go pee."
Yeah. So Marshall's apparently better at holding it.
Yeah, or even more embarrassed to pee in front of.
That could be. That could be too.
So Marshall finishes his pee and comes out and joins Lily on the couch, and Lily's a little solemn because they had this moment, and Marshall reminds her, we still got the deuce.
Yep.
Still haven't pooed in front of each other, which I agree is definitely another level.
Yeah, I mean that is a whole other level for sure.
Mm-hmm. And that's enough for Lily that at least peeing in front of each other was a new first.
Right, so they haven't run out of firsts.
Yeah.
So Marshall and Lily mock Ted and Victoria. They're on the couch. And
I want to know your soul.
Yeah, this moment's chasing another moment. Yeah. The first moment's running away. Then they just start making out, and Ted comes out of his bedroom and his bathrobe, tying it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just recently put it on. As is presumably after their first of many romps that night.
Yeah. I like the little music sting at the end of this was reminiscent of a 70s porno soundtrack.
Yeah, they do that a few times throughout this. There's one in the cab when Victoria and Ted turn it around.
Mm-hmm.
There's one here, and then there's one later on that we're going to get to.
So while all of this is going on, Robin and Barney are having their own night out. It starts out at the bar. Barney sees some hottie at the bar, so he does this power walk, this superhero pose, and he comes up and he taps this woman on the shoulder and he says, $100 says when you turn around, I say, wow. And it's Robin.
Right.
And then Robin says, this is the third time you've accidentally hit on me. You'd have to think that Barney's not doing it by accident at this point.
I didn't think that, but now I do.
Yeah.
Because, it doesn't make any sense. It's not like Robin changed her clothes twice.
Yeah.
When they were there, so there's no reason that he would think it was a different person. If so, Barney's really off his game that night, which we find out that he's not.
No.
So I would agree with you that he is not accidentally hitting on Robin.
Robin says, I can't hang out with you tonight because I'm hanging out with my recently dumped friend. You remember her?
Yeah, it's the same one from the pilot.
What's taking so long?
Right.
What's taken so long is removed from the story pretty quickly when some dude starts making out with her in the booth. Here's my crazy fan theory of the episode. This whole thing was orchestrated by Barney. He either knows Stranger or he just is doing Stranger a favor. And it's like, here, make out with this chick and I'll get this other chick out of the way for you.
Yeah, that would be funny if Barney was wingmanning for the Stranger so that he could hit on Robin. Mm-hmm. It's mutually beneficial.
Yeah. Since what's taken so long is occupied, they decide that they're going to bro out together tonight.
Right. Because Ted is not available anymore.
Yeah.
Since he started dating Victoria. And Barney doesn't have a wingman anymore. And I guess the Stranger wasn't the best wingman.
Yeah.
So he asks Robin, if she wants to be his new bro.
Yeah, there's broings on.
About town.
So they begin the night at the cigar bar, which we've never seen before.
Correct.
And Robin suited up here, and Barney's pretty happy with that. You know, I remember this line. Barney says, "You suited up," but I always remembered it as, "You girl suited up." But no, he doesn't make that distinction. So, why did I think it was the girl suited up?
I don't know. I actually also remembered that line as "girl suited up." So maybe that's said in another episode and it got stuck in both of our memories, or maybe one of us misquoted this episode a long time ago and then we've just kept misquoting it over time.
I just hope the internet doesn't correct us on that one. So, anyway, she's wearing the suit, and despite this plunging neckline, it's not a very feminine look for Robin. I didn't like it.
Well, I thought the plunging neckline was pretty feminine, but no, other than that, it's not a sundress, James.
No, sundresses. So Barney and Robin have really good chemistry here. They're not really flirting, but they're bonding. They're like bros, like they said.
Yeah, they do have chemistry. The only other thing that they'd need would be timing.
Yeah. Barney begins to order for Robin, but Robin interrupts and says, I'll have Johnny Walker Blue and a Monte Cristo #2 or whatever.
Yeah, I like that Robin interrupts Barney to order her own really expensive drink and fancy cigar.
Yeah.
Like, she don't need no man ordering for her.
Yeah, that's right. And then Barney makes one of my favorite kinds of jokes, a joke that needs explaining.
Yeah, I guess sometimes when we try to explain jokes, sometimes they are more funny. So, there.
Yeah.
But, now this one wasn't really that funny.
No, it
needed too much explanation.
Yeah.
Ted can't drink anymore.
Because he's pregnant.
Because he's pregnant.
Because he's the girl.
Because he's the girl. Yeah. And then Robin burns him by saying he's like, you have to have sex to be pregnant. So take that, Ted.
Yeah, take it. Barney and Robin are well into their cigars when we learn that Ted's never been to the cigar bar. No big shock here. Doesn't sound like something he would do.
Right. Like the Foxy boxing, Ted doesn't want to do many of Barney's suggestions.
Yeah. We find that out because Robin wants to know what do you guys do after the cigar bar? Well, Barney suggests another activity, and Robin sort of gives him this look like she's worried that he's about to say, "We can go bang."
Yeah.
But no, it's laser tag.
And that's the first switcheroo, and there's another one later.
Mm-hmm. So they change clothes, and Barney's not even wearing his suit pants. He went and got jeans, his one pair of jeans, his funeral jeans.
Funeral jeans.
And, we've seen laser guns in other episodes, and they always look the same, but I always think of the old-style supermarket price scanners when I see these laser guns.
Yeah, these would look pretty cheesy. It turns out Robin is good at laser tag and seems to be enjoying defeating the younger players as much as Barney.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit of her I don't like kids personality that's leaking through.
Yeah, definitely.
I personally, when I played laser tag recently, I love shooting the kids. It is fun.
Yeah?
Yeah, they need to do better if they want to beat me.
So,
how else are they going to learn?
Yeah, well, fair enough. During the laser tag challenge, Barney and Robin get pinned down by 9 to 10 of the little brats. That's Robin's term, not mine. And they form a leave no man behind pact and try to rush the kids, only to be predictably shot immediately.
Well, they didn't do it right.
Yeah. What plan would have worked there?
Lean over the corner barely and snipe at them. Don't jump out and run at them. In 5 seconds, they could get shot before they could even pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Amateur hour.
Yeah. So, but they're not bummed. They just head out for a soft pretzel. And this is the point where I thought, man, this is totally a date. They got drinks, then they had a fun activity. Now they're getting snack foods.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a total date. I'm surprised Robin doesn't pick up on it earlier.
Yeah.
So after the soft pretzel, they're back where they started, at the bar. They change clothes again,
mm-hmm.
and Robin suggests Battleship as their next activity because laser tag really took her back.
Yeah. I really like this scene because Robin decides she's going to be a good wing woman here and goes for the Honey by the Jukebox and uses a little bit of female jealousy or female competition to sort of send Hottie by the jukebox into Barney's web.
Yeah, she says that she wants Barney, and then that makes the other woman want him more.
Mm-hmm.
She may not have wanted him at all at first, but yeah, it's like once he was desirable, then yeah, it's like Hottie by the jukebox. Yeah, wanted to go over and talk to him, and yes, into Barney's web, step into the web. So Barney chats up the Hottie, but decides to cut her loose and suggests that they go somewhere else. And Robin says, "How about that battleship?"
Yeah. So at Robin's apartment, Barney mistakes "play Battleship" as code for sex and starts birthday suiting up.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like Mitch's The Naked Man.
Yeah, if he'd had a little more time, he might have done The Naked Man before The Naked Man was even a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the second switcheroo, where Barney thought she meant sex, and she literally meant battleship.
Yeah.
So we've switched it back around, and we do get some more cheesy porn music as Barney's taking off his belt.
Bow, 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 bow. Robin shoots him down, but she doesn't kick him out. It's kind of like in the pilot when Ted kills the mood by saying, "I'm in love with you," and then the next scene is they're just still both there. So Robin's pretty cool.
Yeah, she doesn't kick him out, but she does say that she and Barney would never work. But Barney points out how they would work, that they both think that the marriage commitment thing is a drag, they both want something casual and fun, and they clearly get along really well. I would say at this point in the show, I don't know how I felt the first time watching it, but looking back on it, Barney is a much better match for Robin than Ted is, at least in season 1. I probably wasn't rooting for it, but I would be at this point.
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, like, Ted, be with Victoria. Robin, you be with Barney. Everyone can be happy and get what they want. But it does almost seem like Barney's ready for a relationship of sorts at this point.
Since Ted's in this relationship, Barney likes Robin, even if not romantically. He definitely admires her. And maybe Barney wants to try a relationship on his terms. And if he thinks Robin would be into it, then why not try it?
Right. Robin asks, what about Ted? Because she's concerned, she doesn't want him to get hurt. And Barney gives her a look like, what kind of bro do you think I am?
Yeah.
And then tells her that he checked with Ted. And this is where Barney tells Robin that he called Ted when they were playing laser tag to get his blessing, and he got it. And this is the call that Ted receives when he's about to move things to the bedroom and gets the call from Barney. This is that call that Barney is now referencing, it having happened at laser tag.
This means that Barney was already planning on ending up with Robin that night before they even got back to McLaren's to acquire the targets.
Right, the hottie by the jukebox.
Yeah.
So he'd been thinking about it all night, or at least since she said that she'd rather hang out with her martini than him.
Right.
Or maybe since Ted and Victoria were officially dating and he lost his wingman. So he might have been thinking about this for a while.
Mm-hmm. I think Barney admired Robin since Return of the Shirt, that episode where he gets her to say dirty stuff on the air, because this is kind of a similar episode in that Ted's in a relationship with Natalie back then, and now he's in a relationship with Victoria. So whenever Ted's sort of serious with someone, Barney starts to vibe on Robin.
Yeah, and when Barney and Robin do end up sleeping together for the first time, Ted's in a serious relationship with Stella. So, it makes sense.
Yeah. You know what that means? It means Barney wants to sleep with Ted.
Yeah, there may be some weird psychology stuff going on there.
Barney figures it out pretty quickly that, why else would Robin ask about Ted? It's because she's got a crush on Ted, and she's kind of sad about it when she learns that Ted gave the all clear.
Yeah.
And she's even worried about Barney telling Ted about the crush.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little bit of sweet moment here because, Barney's been kind of a buffoon the whole episode, but this is the first time where he sort of changes his tone of voice. He's like, no, I'm not going to tell him. Right. He's just very sincere. They agree to this quid quo bro, as he calls it. Like, yes. I won't tell about the crush if you don't tell that I dangled my pickle in front of you.
Right.
They continue to have a good evening where they're just going to literally just play Battleship.
Right. Yep. Barney's got all of his clothes back on.
Mm-hmm. So returning as Victoria is Ashley Williams.
Yep, we've got Vivian Bang as Ava, which I don't remember her ever getting a name.
No.
But girl Robin helps Barney pick up, or Hottie by the Jukebox,
right,
as we called her.
And our favorite two-time appearance guest star, Sarah Lowe, as Hey, What's Taking So Long?
That's right. So Robin says target acquired.
Yeah.
And when she's talking about, like, let's go play Battleship, ooh, target acquired, kind of thing. Which was said before during Purple Giraffe, but Robin wasn't there when Barney said it, so it's not like that's a thing.
Mm.
And I know target acquired isn't like a real catchphrase, and other people have said that before. It's not like that's the first time anybody's ever said those two words together. But it was kind of funny that, like, Barney uses the term and Robin uses the term, and they used it independent of each other. So she's not like using it because she's quoting him.
Right, right. It could be that, you know, it's just another one of those not on screen scenes where she's just been around Barney long enough at this point.
Right, yeah,
she
she's picked
terms.
Up. Yep, he says that enough that she's picked up on it. Yeah.
Let's talk about Ted and Victoria's motivation in this episode. Either your fan theory is correct and they're just messing with the other two, or it's genuine and that they're making this first steps into a relationship, the very vulnerability type of conversation that they need to have before they move on to the sexual vulnerability.
Right. Yep. This one, Robin, I get the impression that she really didn't think that it was like a date with Barney the whole time, that they were just hanging out as friends.
Yeah.
And that it wasn't until he says something about how compatible that they would be that she actually even gives it a thought. So I think that she is just trying to hang out with one of the gang.
Yeah, she's sort of feels turned out because the rest of the gang all have plans, and like she said, she could spend the weekend with her Martini or Barney.
Right, and actually it turns out that it would be a lot more fun to spend it with Barney.
Yeah.
One more reason for them to be together. So, Marshall does not want to go on this trip.
No.
I think that Lily may have.
Yeah.
But Marshall didn't, at least in my opinion, because he didn't even pack.
Yeah. They spend the weekend sort of introspective. It's clear that they're reached a point in their relationship that's sort of a punctuation mark, sort of similar to Ted and Victoria.
Yeah.
Just further down the road.
Yeah, exactly. And then Barney is scheming on Robin.
Yeah.
I mean, at least half the episode, if not the entire episode, where he's made it. He's taken all the appropriate steps to clear things with Ted, so he can be with Robin at the end of the episode. And it doesn't quite work, but it actually might have if Robin didn't have feelings for Ted.
Yeah.
And that's sort of another clue to him. He's like, wait a second, why didn't this work? This should have worked. What's going on here? Oh, you have feelings for Ted. Yeah, it's definitely nothing's going to happen tonight. But by sandcastles in the sand, no such feelings are there still.
Yeah. And Barney does mention, Robin says, if you thought about it for 1 second, and he says, I have thought about it for 3 seconds, and here's all the reasons why we would make a good match. But I never got the impression that Robin really was ever hot in the pants for Barney in any sort of way.
You mean in this season or ever?
In the season up to this point.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get that impression at all either. Like, it never occurred to her.
So she's having a good time, but she doesn't have that extra point that it needs to become a bang buddy sort of situation.
I see. Yeah.
She's not really turned on by his cheese grater abs. She's not about to tear his clothes off.
Right. I wonder, though, if she had met Barney first, if they couldn't have had the thing that Barney's talking about, because it's the exact same kind of thing that Robin was looking for in the pilot.
Well, yeah, I mean, it all depends on whether or not she really did like it dirty.
Right. Yep, and as always, timing gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
So, those are our thoughts. How did you feel about this episode? You can let us know by emailing us at himyimsuperfans@gmail.com.
You know what? Each week, Chris and I get so much out of discussing this episode. We really enjoy doing this. We hope you enjoy it too.
Yeah, and join our Facebook group. Leave us a message there, and if you could, share our posts when we post them.
If you like the show, the best way to help us out is to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. If you don't want to write a review,
Just write about how you cheated Battleship.
and give us that 5 stars. It really helps us get discovered, and it allows us to continue to grow our audience so we can keep making the show.
And tell your friends about the show. Join the Facebook group. Hit that share button. Really helps us get our message out. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye. Ashley Williams tweeted at me. She tweeted all over me. She took a tweet all over me. Got her? No?
I don't think so. Probably shouldn't.